This latest round of phone calls with Japan and China comes just days after the U.S. President Donald Trump hosted his South Korean counterpart Moon Jae-in at the White House. At a joint appearance on Friday, Trump declared that American patience with the leadership in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, quote, is over.
We are working closely with South Korea and Japan, as well as partners around the world, on a range of diplomatic, security, and economic measures to protect our allies and our own citizens from this menace. Our goal is peace, stability, and prosperity for the region.
To achieve that, the U.S. needs China's help. Beijing is Pyongyang's largest trading partner and is thought to have more influence over its government than any other capital. When Trump met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Florida in April, he urged the Chinese leader to do more to contain the threats coming from the DPRK. China had already suspended coal imports from its neighbor and supported resolutions against Pyongyang at the United Nations. The DPRK's official news agency issued a rare rebuke back in May, saying, quote, China should no longer try to test the limits of the DPRK's patience and had better ponder over the grave consequences. And yet in recent days, perhaps news signals from Washington that it thinks Beijing is still not doing enough. The U.S. Treasury announced on Thursday it was sanctioning 2 Chinese individuals, a shipping company, and a Chinese bank it accused of, quote, facilitating millions of dollars of transactions for companies involved in North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. The same day, the U.S. greenlighted a total of $1.4 billion in arms sales to Taiwan.
This runs counter to the important consensus and spirit reached by both countries' leaders in the April meeting. The wrong move on the U.S. side is not beneficial to the 2 countries and will affect both countries' cooperation in important fields.
Like, perhaps, the DPRK. China has accused the U.S. of using the threat in the Korean Peninsula as a reason to build up its military presence in the region. The U.S. already has thousands of troops stationed at bases in Japan and South Korea, which recently suspended deployment of an American-built anti-ballistic missile system pending additional review. Beijing had opposed the system. It suspected the Americans would use it to spy on China. But the suspension of the defense system known as THAAD was just one of a number of recent signs showing quite publicly the growing distance between China and the U.S. when it comes to dealing with the DPRK. Sunday's dial-up diplomacy may be the latest effort to dial down some of that tension. Roee Ruttenberg, CGTN in Washington.